If you're here, I am Jason Carey, and we're doing for the entire year of 2025, we're doing a morning ritual for guitar growth, which is free. Yes, it is free. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning. How are you today, friend? And we are doing this every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time. Good morning, Sky. And it's not to be confused with, although we do sometimes play songs together later on in the morning workout, in the morning ritual, we do prioritize functional training. Okay, so we are actually off on our breathing sequences at the moment. I know it seems like one of those things that we might take for granted, but we will go ahead and get started there. Did any of you have any luck practicing yesterday? Did you find any time to rehearse with your guitar yesterday? What kind of stuff were you practicing? That's kind of interesting material. All right, here's the 𝗚440, I believe. Yep, that's the 𝗚440. Driving this morning, Sky. Good. All right. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning. And good morning, Mark. How are you doing this morning, Mark? Been working on Mancuso. Yeah, good idea. And it makes me feel like I've never held a guitar before. Extended arpeggios. Right on. Right on. Sleepy Mark, yeah. All right, we'll get the coffee rolling here in a moment. Or this morning we've got the black tea rolling. I should be drinking green tea, shouldn't I? That's the benefit for me, I think, is a person like myself should be drinking green tea in the morning. So this is just, if you're just new to the situation, if you're new here and you're wondering what the heck is going on, well, I wanted to welcome you to the morning ritual. So welcome, grab your guitar and hang out for a little bit and find out for yourself. And I would invite you to use the live chat. The live chat is super banging, and it's loaded with a lot of great, highly experienced guitar players and musicians in our own rights. And isn't it fun to watch Matteo, Mr. Mancuso, young Master Mancuso, play the guitar? Yeah, we were running a little bit behind this morning, so I grabbed the hot water and got it in the cup, and now we're ready to go. It should be ready to go when I'm ready to grab a sip. That's what I'm hoping. So I've been looking back at the audio. Is the audio working? Is that what we would call close enough for now? Is the audio going to be passable for today? So hopefully it is. So let's go ahead and get started with the fingers 3 and 4 stretch on frets 10 and 12. So 1 E and a 2, you know what to do. Good, thank you. Michael Hardy, good morning. Metronome is inaudible. Well, we need to fix that. Let me move this thing, sorry. Bear with me for just one moment. Let's see if we can move this without providing injury. Is the metronome audible at this moment? I just have a piece of equipment right here that's just off camera, and it's reminding me to smile. Good. Michael, good morning. Are you? Audio is great here. Good. My fingernails aren't really the length that I need them to be. I may go back to deferring back to the pick a little bit this morning, which I may do just now. So let's do fingers 3 and 4 on frets 10 and 12, and 1E and a 2Z, and a putting on my shoes. Here we go. If you're just happening to walk into this situation, I applaud you. I appreciate you checking out something new and maybe sticking around. Grab a guitar if you do not yet have your guitar in hand. You know, just a suggestion. It's not a directive, but it's only a suggestion. If you would like to practice and get better at the guitar, now's a great time to do it. And we're here every weekday morning, so every weekday morning on your guitar, you can find us here. We're bound by some kind of internal law to be here. Not sure what it is, but we have a posse of regulars here that are just like outstanding and totally encouraging. So if you have if you have questions you would like to ask about morning warm-up type things or guitar tech questions, something like sort of like on track with the morning ritual for guitar growth, go ahead and deliver that to the live stream. Test it out, see what happens. 1E and a 2 fingers, 2 and 3, 10 and 12, go. Good morning, Raul. And it's just we're just immersing ourselves in the fundamental language of the guitar. We're taking all of the 12 tone or equal temperament, and we're not recreating at the moment. We're not recreating Rite of Spring, or any sort of Charles Ives movements. We're not necessarily getting away from a tonal structure, but we are breaking the system down into its sort of like more like microscopic parts so that we can study and observe those and place those into practice. 1E and a 2, and fingers 1 and 2, 10 and 12. See, this tone right here I can't get with my fingers at the moment. Some days I can when I have those fingernails sort of shaped correctly and grown to the proper and appropriate length. But I really like to hear, I enjoy hearing an attack, a pick attack. So we're starting again, 60 beats per minute, 4 attacks per beat. Hey Jill, good morning Jill. I'm not sure if I said good morning yet. Maybe I glanced over your comment, and good to hear you, see your voice. Alfred, good morning. Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Man, it's been a long time since I've driven that Route 1, always great to hear from you, Alberta. Yeah, you came down through Jasper and Banff and just couldn't even believe what was going on. Just couldn't even believe it. Like beyond the wildest imaginations, just amazing ski towns and little jump off points for social, like high social angles, high social activity. Picked up a rack of Canadians there, I think. I remember that, but we were on a mission. 1E and a 2, fingers 2 and 4, 9 and 12. Yeah. So if you're new, I know people who are here every day. are likely to have a guitar in hand and practicing along with me. So you're more than welcome to do that. I'm here every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the entire year of 2025, and maybe even beyond. Maybe even beyond. We'll see. It's likely that I will not stop practicing my morning ritual. It's likely that this is a lifetime effort. But what we are doing is, specifically this year, taking a look at what happens when we play a guitar for 260 hours. That's what basically this is the equivalent. What we will have done by the end of this year is play the guitar for at least 260 hours of warm-up time. And we're about to discover how 260 hours of warm-up time improves our lives as guitar practitioners. 1E and a 2, and you know what to do. 1 and 3 on 10 and 12, or 9 and 12. Alberta, isn't Alberta, Canada? Is that where Bruce Cockburn lives? Is he in Alberta? It's a beautiful flag too. That is a beautiful flag, that maple leaf. Brings to mind so many good things. Let's go ahead and do, let's step it up a notch. Let's go ahead and do these, we'll get right to it. We'll get right down to it. So I don't know if you get that reference or not. So fingers 7 and 12 and 1E and that we add the open fret. Good, good, right on. 1E and a 2 and a TE, thanks Anthony, and 7 and 12. This is a good time as any to add our sentiment or prayer or intention for this morning ritual. And as I work through my own, you're more than welcome to set one for yourself. One that's personal. What's personal for you, personal for your guitar, personal for your life. We'll just take a moment of silence to allow that to occur. Good. All right. That's some insight right there. Grabbing that, the open position or the 0 fret or open position. So some of us are, I remember early on in the game. Oh, let me go ahead and get back to practicing here, and then I'll talk. So fingers 2 and 3 and 4 on 10, 11, and 12. 1Z and a 2Z and a putting on my shoesies. I seem to be, thinking, good morning, Kim, good morning, how are you? Great to see you, great to see you in the house here. It seems like I remember when I was a younger lad working on guitar. I think I wanted to get up and away from open position, thinking that it was for the beginners. Do you know what I mean? But it's not. It's really open strings is what makes the guitar really cool, and the utilization of open strings. I mean, you know that there was an open string snuck into the intro riff to the solo of Stairway to Heaven, correct? Yeah, the open G string, he like pulls off the G string and introduces the open G string. That's where the magic really starts to happen on the guitar. Just a beautiful, beautiful instrument for that kind of thing. Hey, Billy played. Hey, I found you yesterday. I'm still working. I'm still in the state of finding myself. Yeah. As you can see from some of the shorts that I recently re-listened to the Transcendent concert appearance by Mr. Keith Jarrett. And if you haven't heard the 𝗠 concert yet, K-O-L-N, it is a remarkable. Fingers 1, 2, and 3, 10, 11, and 12. Here we go. 2 and so a onesie and a twosie and a putting on my shoesie. There we go. It's an amazing effort, but it took me a little bit just to speaking to the state of finding, finding one's situation or one's voice. We'll use finding one's voice. So finding one's voice, I've heard Keith Jarrett for decades now and really appreciated him on so many levels as a musician, pianist, I don't know him personally, so I wouldn't know. But to listen to with a fresh mind and really try to absorb what exactly is happening as he progresses through the 𝗠 concert. It's amazing that was all improvisational material, completely improvised, and that just catapulted him into the forefront. If you haven't heard it yet, it's one of my top recommended albums of all time to absorb, like fully absorb. I would work through all of the parts in one sitting if I could. You'll hear a full range of musical language being spoken here. So Keith Jarrett, J-A-R. Here's one you don't hear about very much. Have you listened to Cal Farlow's Chromatic Palette yet? To Mr. Farlow, the late great Mr. Farlow was a wonderful, wonderful bop guitar player, and you could certainly enjoy some of his lines. Chromatic Palette, Chromatic Palette. All right, let's go ahead and do, what are we doing next? That's the question, isn't it? That's the old, what was it was a book called The Music Lesson, was the bass player from 𝗵𝗏𝗃, well known from 𝗵𝗏𝗃, is Victor Wooten. He starts the book, by saying like he never knew what to practice. He knew he needed to practice, but he didn't know what he needed to practice for a long time until the appearance of the special guest. But so that can be a chore, understanding what to practice, because at some point you're going to have so much material to work that even if you practice for an 8-hour day, and speaking of practicing for an 8-hour day, hi Raul, practicing for an 8-hour day, that we still wouldn't be able to practice all of the things that we know. So I should be stretching while I do this. So let me go ahead and deliver a nice stretch while we do the homily here. So it is something of a mystery. But once you get to the point where you reach so much material that we need to keep in play and in practice, tunes, songs, melodies, scales, modes, inversions, all of those things take time and they require maintenance the same way any other moving part or perishable skill requires maintenance. So, does it pay off to practice for 8 hours a day? How does what we do turn into the ability to use a Pete Seeger phrase, feed our faces? How does what we do, we invest? So my time is worth money, right? Or my time is worth more than money. It's sort of hard to describe because I don't reclaim any of these moments. Of course, it's arguable that it's all one grand moment anyway, isn't it? But how do I put the food on the table? How do I put the energy in my body to continue and sustain myself and my family and my communities? Well, that's a really great question, and we've been working on that specifically, personally, for a long time now. And we found that it requires a tremendous amount of effort and a tremendous caloric burn. You know, we're talking 4,500, 5,000 calorie days, you know. We're talking about, and that's in just brain power, right? That's just in thought process. But it does require a little bit of, I think there's luck, and then there's something that people write it off as luck. I don't believe in that at all. I believe in prayer, number one. I believe in, let's go ahead and do fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, a 9, 10, 11, and 12. 1 E and a 2. You know what to do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's sometimes it's hard to do the thing. Sometimes it's hard to do the thing because there's a worry. Maybe the worry is health. Maybe the worry is fiscal. Maybe the worry is related to allocation of time. Maybe all of it's not to worry. Maybe all of it is just in the act of doing. And the act of doing and giving without giving, the act of giving without expecting anything in return. Well, how do you make a living doing that? How do you make a living doing that? I believe that when there is a need, or let's phrase it like this. Let's phrase it, I'm going to turn around here because I did not do the 0 fret, and we had a specific request for the 0 fret. So we're going to go tag the 0 fret the same way like a climber might tag the bell at the top of the climb. I see Robbie on board here. Good morning, Robbie. Everyone, have a most awesome day. Kem, thanks for being here, man. Oh, tips for percussive playing. Sure. So there we go. We tagged the 0 fret. Hey, Robbie. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's really, it's what we're up against, you know. Sometimes the music programs are thinking, you know, hey, well, we're going to be cut, you know, we're seeking cuts because, you know, let me give you a perfect example here. There's a university program, has a world-class local university, right? You know, it's in every state. This happens in every state, in every situation. It's not just hyper local to me. But there's a university system or program or, you know, private, whatever, state run, where the music program has never run in the black. It always runs in the red. It always costs the university something to manage or maintain that music program. And then you come backwards down the number line. There's another reference. You come backwards down the number line to high school programming. So fingers 1 and 2 and 3 and stretch 4. 9, 10, 11, and 13. Once we get 𝗏 and the 𝗏 and the putting on my shoes. Here we go. I'm going to answer that virtuo strings. Hello, man. Can you give me some tips for percussive playing? I am going to come back to that. So if you don't mind just having a little bit of patience with me, I certainly appreciate it. But I think this is important, and it speaks to what we are called to do. Are we supposed to be patrons of the arts and sciences? Yes. In any great civilization, irregardless of the culture. Are we supposed to be great patrons of the arts and sciences? The answer is assuredly yes. Let me focus on this here. I've got to get to that 0 fret. So I'm stretching 4, 3, 2, and 1 is gone because of the 0 fret. You know, I typically don't do the 0 fret because of that reason, because it doesn't work out. It works out of removing an active finger that I'm actively trying to exercise, but bringing that 0 fret back into the mix, it gives us that fluidity that we might need one day, whether we're improvising and, you know, that's something that we need to be aware of, and we need to have the ability to do. So anyway, we're high school programming, music programming is, I don't know if it's consistent with your experience, but my entire high school experience was music department heads were always, or, you know, the single music teacher was always on defense, playing, you know, well, we're going to get our funding cut card, right? Instead of playing on the offense, instead of going out and, you know, selling the music t-shirts at the football games or whatever you do, fundraising, like, you know, you could sell tickets to a high school football game and it would fund itself. People would come, you could fundraise, or you could have a boosters, right? And I don't think I ever remember seeing the arts doing the boosters, you know, the arts doing the things that were required to feed themselves. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably wrong about that. And I hope I'm wrong about that, but it might be just my prejudices surfacing here, like, but it is important to just be aware of what it takes to feed the face. So, as Pete Seeger said it. So fingers 1, 2, 3, and 4. 9, 11, 12, 13. You'll never guess what I'm doing immediately after this. After I do my morning walk after this, making some sourdough bread. We've got the starter all ripping and rolling, so that's going to happen. It's going to happen. 1E and, oh, let's see what this is. My wife is starting a channel and an a cappella school, a choral and a cappella school. Started out as a high school teacher, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Very cool. At my wife's school, they fundraise all the time for the choir. She's the choir director. That's a great idea. And that's wonderful to hear, man. She's got her ticket punched. She's going directly through those pearly gates, is my guess. So fingers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I wonder how she feels about choral music. If you listen to, let's say, like 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏. It's a really well-known piece of work by Mozart. Ave, ave, and then verum corpus natum de Maria Virgine. When you hear Mozart compose, or it's almost like when you have all of the voices working together, they formulate a composite. Like, it sounds to me like it's the voice of God literally singing to you. Just in the right situations, in the right framework, with the right subtext, with the right compositions and arrangements, it can really be a very powerful experience. And I'm so happy that your wife is one of those people, Anthony. That's such good news to hear, man. We have hey Jill, good morning. We have a nonprofit here called Mountain Strings to introduce violin in elementary school. A group of parents started it, very cool. Here's an idea. I love that. That's a beautiful thing. Here's an idea, and I was thinking about holding on to this one for myself, and I've only spoken with this, about this with a handful of people. But wouldn't it be cool? And again, I'm not trying to get into the bank, into the books of the local music stores and the conglomerates that sort of like rent musical equipment to kids. Some of the kids are fine. Some of the parents can afford to rent or buy a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 horn or whatever. But some of those kids, like I always remember, like through my climbing excursions, like the next Michelangelo could be laying there on the street corner, right? And so I always try to I think my mind associates that with the child who was left behind, or the child who, the family who couldn't afford it at the time. Maybe they were a young family just struggling to make the ends meet. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a group, at least statewide, or you can try these and pilot these programs in smaller zip codes or states that are easier to roll these programs out in. The kids who sort of fall through the gaps, to have a program like a library, a lending library of instruments, sort of like where people need to park their money somewhere, so why don't they invest in this? And then they've got a whole rack of horns, whole rack of B flat, whole rack of E flat, a whole rack of flutes, a whole rack of little guitars and amps for the jazz or stage band. It's sort of a community lending library where there's some responsibility to check the instrument out for the season. But wouldn't that be something if it was just made to be, technology is democratized, so why not democratize access to instruments? Well, I know, again, you can't talk against the landlords, because the ones who own the real property are the ones that need to collect the monies, but or the ones who rent the instruments. We wouldn't want to interrupt their business. We would want to augment their business, supplement their business. Yeah, it's enough to make a grown man cry. Like, why hasn't that been done yet? So I have business owners and then waitresses that, old student mothers of mine. She's like, oh, Justin used to have this bass and he went off to medical school because of you, blah, blah, blah. Here's this bass. Why don't you put this in the collection and donate this? So people just feel like they want to donate things like that. Without, one conversation and you have 100 instruments, you know what I mean? So it can be doable. It's totally doable. So maybe that's what we're here to organize. All right, so we're still warming up here, and it works it feels to me like we're working the minor pentatonic. We're going to start working on extending our arpeggio experience. So we'll start again with the minor 7, you know, the 1, 4, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1, 4. And that's the entirety of the... And we just kind of, when we get to the flat 7, we'll come back down to the flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, flat 3, and then 1. And then 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 2, or 1, and then flat 3, 2, 5, 5, flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1. Yeah, it is, right. Here's the story. Well, I had a shop one time, right, and I realized that I was buying these fiddles and then fixing them, and, you know, new fiddles, and then setting them up. We had professionals from all over the place. We blah, blah, blah. And then so other, you know, you have other music shops that sort of like get angry about you maybe undervaluing or devaluing the instrument or whatever. I think the wrong thing is being valued here. I think the wrong thing is being valued. I think it's a lesson in values. So the ones who are doing, you know, anyway, I don't want to get too off track. But look at me. I'm happy to hear, Jill, that you're involved with that kind of stuff too. Very cool. So, 𝗏𝗪𝗔. All right, so let's talk about, are you still here, virtuo strings? Are you still here? So let's go ahead and start with major 7. And these are just, you know, 1, 3, 5, 7. No extensions or anything like that. Good quality breath goes a long, long way. So we're folding some diatonicism into our rehearsal. And, you know, it's not my intent to, you know, I'm not really speaking for or against any one particular way of doing things. I'm just talking about seeing both sides of the coin. Do you know what I mean? Both sides of the coin. 1Z and a 2Z and a putting on my shoes. So let's do the dominant 7. And then the dominant 7 is going to start. See you later, Mark. Thanks for being here this morning. You are most welcome. It's my honor and privilege to be here. It's a real deal for me. It's a real deal for me for sure. 1E and a 2 and 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7. 1Z and a 2Z and a putting on my shoesy. That's right. Happy picking, my friend. We'll start with fret number 2 for the minor 7 arpeggios. 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, reach back for that flat 5, and then up to the flat 7. This is a tough one, you know. Virtuoso strings. I guess you're not here still? That's a scary sounding chord. Yeah, all right, so let's do another quick stretch. I've got to have a sip of the teat, a sip of the 𝗃𝗃. This is from the old, it's an old habit, that's for sure. Black tea goes a long way. This is black tea this morning. I typically like to drink it English style with cream and milk and sugar. It's milk and sugar, but I'm working currently at the moment of cutting sugar from my diet. Removing sugar from my diet. Pains be gone. Yeah, this is good. And we have 1, 2, T, and a 4E. Oh yeah, so last night, I was finishing up work down here last night. And then I heard crashing down and this whole wall behind me fell apart. It like all of the suspension and everything it just popped and went flying. So my night was late last night. That's why I was a little behind getting down here this morning. So yeah, I've repaired all of it, gotten it back to where it needs to go. If you're not stretching while you practice, it's a good idea to, you know, maybe it is a good idea to stretch every 15 minutes or so. Especially while we're seated for 1 hour, I think it's even a good idea every 20 minutes to get up and stand up. So I'm going to just stay right here and I'll do my standing and re-stretches after this, but good idea just to mentally note there are little moments of pause that are required to perform at high levels. Not that I'm performing at a high level. I aspire to do that one day, but remove sugar, exclamation point, ketosis, exclamation, all caps. Very cool. Yeah, sugar be gone. Yeah. Dave B, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're excited about it. If you're here and you like what's going on, please share it with your friends. If they're guitar players or musicians, and they could use a morning ritual for the encouragement of growth of the guitar, you know, as guitar practitioners. We love that kind of stuff. Certainly smash that like button helps. But bringing your guitar, most important piece of this is your time. And that's unfortunately irreplaceable. So I understand people come and people go in our lives. But you're more than welcome to hang out here as much as you want. As much as you want. Oh, once in a while you just hit the cool stuff. That's why we play the guitar. Eddie Van Halen used to talk about this. When he was practicing, he'd have like a little light bulb moment. Just when we thought we were in G, we can drop the low E string and see what that does. So these moments are great for fingerstyle. So yeah, all right. So that will help lead us into the framework of the extended arpeggio work that we're about to do. So let's do that in the key of G today because we have a little bit more reach. And let's start that in the open position just to get satisfied that need to become familiar and incorporate the open position. Yeah, 15 minutes bike ride. I used to do 17 miles. I have a nice 17-mile loop, which is about the minimum for a cyclist, right? It'd take me, well, 15-minute bike ride for me. Are you doing like road bike? We get this beautiful place to road bike here. And I'll tell you what, yeah, right, Raoul, that's right on, man. Worst drug of all. Improvisations can stem from something very simple, you know. Remember yesterday how we talked about, you know, those extended arpeggios where basically the C Lydian mode. And so if we play in the key of G, which I just wanted to draw this to your attention, we're still going to use C major 7 or C major 13 or whatever, C major 13 sharp 11. But we're going to play the C major 7 arpeggio in the key of G now, right? So this will all make more sense. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and then 9, and then I'd like to do sharp, or you know, sharp 11 here. The 11 doesn't occur naturally. The natural 11 doesn't occur naturally in this major 7 environment for me for some reason. It's just not. It's not part of the math, right? It's not part of the math of the extended, you know, as we start to look at and study observe the overtone sequence, the structure of the overtone series, we start to learn that the 11 doesn't really happen naturally there, right? The sharp 11 happens naturally up a couple partials up. So if you wanted to study that string theory a little bit, that would be why I like to use the sharp 11, the raised 11. I can't use a thumb pick. Do you use a thumb pick sometimes? I've never tried one. Hey, Robbie, that's a good question. I've used one. Maybe for a few months, maybe. I think if you use it enough, if you give it a chance and you really let it become an extension of your body, then that probably would definitely take. Do you know what I mean? Hey guys, had to be on site today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So here's the major 7 extended arpeggio, and now we're in 7th position. So we're going back And we're going to take a look at this in first position. But we're starting with 2, 1, 4, finger 3, finger 1, finger 1 rolls up to the B string, and then the 13 here, and then the root note. And then we descend the pattern. 1, 6, E♯11, 9, 7, 5, 3, and then 1. And once again, we're playing all of these triads, you know, linked one into the next. So 1, 3, 5 of the C, and then we have the, and then the 3, the E minor triad. And then then we have the 5 triad, which is the G triad. Or the, you know, if we're playing in the key of G, it would be the 1, right? So here's the 1. And then we have the 7, which is in this case going to be the 3 minor in as it relates to G. So we start there, and then we have the what is this? The 9. Really wild stuff. So we have the C, E, G, B, D, and then back to the we've got one more here. Starting on the, let's call C the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, ♯11, which would be the F# triad, diminished triad. Oh, and then we could just basically play those extensions everywhere, right? So we have the C major triad here. Then the next triad was E minor. Right, and then we have the next triad after that would be G major. And then the next triad after that would be B minor. And then the next triad after that would be the 9, which would be D major. And then the next triad after that would be F# diminished, which is going to be played all over the guitar neck. So we have a lot of different chords going on here at the moment at one time. So we have access to C major, E minor, G major, B minor, D major, F# diminished, all in the span of one tiny little speck of mote of dust suspended in the G major scale. So here's how I want to practice this. Sky, you're taking off. Get into my location. Have fun, man. Have fun today. Have an awesome day, guys. The B King. Yeah, right on. Look forward to it, Sky. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Yeah. Have an awesome day. Awesome day. Here's what I'm going to do. I know this isn't something that we might not do this all the time, but this is something that I'd like to do for now, so that you can just see how I might practice this, right? And let me go down to let me get up to, I think I can get up to G here. Can you, I don't know if you can hear that G. Oop, there goes the metronome. If I don't have like a looper, I might use this thing called the 𝗿𝗏 𝗪𝗏. It's a nice app. It's a cool app. Some of it annoys some of us, but it gives you that drone G. Let me go ahead and just kind of give you an idea about what I would do. Second, just one more minute. Let me get this thing turned off here. Yeah, so what happens is I have that G that I can balance against the C arpeggios. And it's the same way that if I'm working on, introducing a thumb pick, it's going to take me months before I feel really comfortable. Oh, am I back? So it's just going to take me months to feel comfortable. The same way, feeling down dog as a yogic posture, as a place of rest, will take maybe months to get familiar with. So just allow yourself some breathing space, some time. But as we practice, we can start working on maybe playing each note twice. And I know there are some finger stylists still here, so I'm going to work on just observing each note for what it is in the sequence of the thing before I even start doing the sequence of the thing. So I want to work on one note. Or maybe just ascending. think Matteo, Mr. Mancuso, young Master Mancuso, does this a lot. Those kinds of, you know, linear extensions where we sort of like are gradually ascending a pattern. But that's about it for today. I don't want to, it's not my intention to keep you over today, but I certainly appreciate you hanging out with me to the end. I see that you are here, and I hope you all have a great time. Got to run. Kevin, I appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate your blue wrench showing up and Anthony's blue wrench showing up whenever you can, and it seems to be every weekday morning. So thank you again to the moderators in the chat here. Really couldn't have a good, clean, lively feed without you, and thank you. And just pulled up to the office. Conference calls and emails. Ugh. Have a blessed day. Thanks. Happy picking. Yeah, happy picking. Well said. All right, we'll see you maybe tomorrow. We'll catch you again. But I'll be here, and I'll look forward to that more then. Okay. Until then, until we meet again, happy picking. That's right. You beat me to the punch. Thank you. Bye.